Welcome to the evening of day 3 and my full day of day 4 on my 9-day tour of Colombia with Intrepid Travel. Earlier on this day, we all packed up and left the small town of Salento and headed to Hacienda Guayabal, a coffee ranch in the countryside of Chichiná, Colombia. Even though Google Maps shows an hour and 20 minutes for the drive, it took us about 2 hours. But the drive wasn't bad at all.
All right, after a 2-hour drive, or approximately a 2-hour drive, about an hour and a half, we finally made it to the Hacienda where we're going to stay for the next 2 nights. And tomorrow we're going to learn all about what it takes to make coffee, to make and brew and grow and garden and all that stuff. But first impressions is very clean, nice part, and it's like a hidden gem because right outside of this Hacienda, is a small town, and all the houses had bars on the window. I should have recorded it. I wish I would have recorded it. But this is a nice, quaint, quiet place. Another cool thing that I did on my way to this place is once I found out that I was going to be rooming with someone else in like such a small room, I went out on a limb and went online because I had internet service on the road, and I booked my own room. And so the guy that I was going to room with actually said, hey, you know, if you book your own room, I'll split the cost with you. And that's what we did. So I should have my own room, he should have his own room, and we should be able to enjoy our time for the next 2 nights. So once I get closer to the room, I'll go ahead and record it and let you guys see what it looks like. I literally walked this property and it takes 30 seconds, and I'm going to be here for the next 2 nights. So I guess I'm going to get a lot of work done because there's nothing more to do other than enjoy the nice, relaxing weather and the views. So it's a different pace, and if you have a busy life, this is probably something that you will really enjoy, just time to yourself. I haven't figured out if they have Wi-Fi. I'm sure they do, but if they don't, like, this is really one of those off-the-grid places. And by the way, when I booked my own room, it was $62 per night, so not bad at all. And that was kind of like the incentive. I said, okay, well, if it's only $62 per night, why not book my own room? So that's where we're at. And now we just had our welcome drink show up. I sat down in this little bitty chair. It's really cheap. It hurt like hell getting in that thing, but anyway, I did. So they brought us a welcome drink, which conveniently enough, or brought us coffee. We are at a coffee house. That's not Pola, that's coffee. I thought he was serious about bringing Pola. I'll drink with everyone else, and then I'll drink the
Espresso.
Pola. It's espresso at 6 o'clock at night. All right, dangerous. Gracias.
Yeah. Okay, so I got my room, and this room is surprisingly better than the room I was in last night. Maybe it's the colors. That's
show you around. There's a king size bed with double pillows. And have this other bed here, the spare bed, but I don't have any roommates anymore, so no one's gonna be sleeping there. And then it has a bathroom with a closet. It appears to be a closet, or it's locked and must be another room. And then you have the bathroom here. And my concern before I showed up to this place was that it was going to be like the place we were at last night, which had that open window. It looks good. I'm excited about this room, and I can do plenty of work, thinking, and things like that. Here's the view right outside the room. All right, so it is now 5:16, and one thing this room does not have is air conditioning, but that's okay. It has this window and there's no screen, so bugs and the elements can just fly right in. But they do have fans, and so I'm likely going to use a fan. So we have 3 ladies on this trip, and I said if the ladies don't complain and if they're not saying that they want the fans, I definitely am going to take the fan so I can sleep a little bit more comfortably throughout the night. But we are now waiting until 6 o'clock. They're going to serve dinner. I hope the dinner is good, because there are no other options to eat because there's nowhere to walk to. We are stuck here. So other than the protein bars that I have in my suitcase, I'm going to be eating the food that they have here. So I hope it's a good meal. Okay, so this is the end of day 3. We've just had dinner, and dinner was it was excellent. And we also followed that up with a dessert. And now I came back up to the room, showered. Shower was amazing. There's hot water, fluffy towels, and a comfortable space in which to shower. If you can hear it in the background, there is a fan going because there is no air conditioning in this room, and that's okay. Again, it's not too bad, but I'm the type of person that even if I keep the temperature at 65 degrees Fahrenheit in my room at night, I sweat. So I want to make sure that I'm not sweating in the middle of the night. But other than that, things are quiet, and I am excited to start the day tomorrow, which is going to start at 7:30 in the morning with breakfast. And 8:30 in the morning is going to be the start of our coffee tour. So that's the end of day 3. Hopefully you enjoyed the commentary, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, so good morning. It is the beginning of our coffee exploration. So we got our teacher. He just came down and introduced himself, and he's going to, we're going to first start off in coffee school, where we learn about everything, and then after we learn about everything, we're going to go into the field and possibly pick some coffee beans. But he has already described to us about how coffee is completely foreign to America, and that's why we import as much coffee as we do from all over the world. But this is going to be interesting, and I'm excited to get started. So I just learned about a pretty interesting arrangement because at first I was confused. So the landowners or the farmers or the people who own this plantation, this coffee plantation where we're staying, they own the land and they have a few workers that actually maintain their land. But what's interesting about it is they don't necessarily pick their own beans or harvest their own beans. Behind me is another owner of this property, but this owner does not own this land. This owner is actually another family, and they are working for the plantation owner or the farm owners. And the arrangement they have is this family actually is responsible for gathering workers throughout the season to come here to harvest the land for the coffee land owners, if that makes sense. So right behind us are the people that own these properties, but they don't own the land. They get people to pick or to harvest the coffee beans, and this family here is paid by the people who come from all over the place to harvest the beans. They are paid because the people that come from all over the place pay them to actually live in this dormitory and to be fed. So it's a very interesting arrangement. But anyway, that's the arrangement. Coffee family owns the land, and everything that I'm looking at, all of this land with all of these different things that are growing on the land, all the coffee that's growing on the land, this family right here actually brings people to harvest the land, and they feed and house the people that harvest the land during the harvest season. The folks that come into town from all over the place to harvest the land pays this family about 40,000 to 70,000 pesos per week, which is roughly $10 a week. But they are paid to harvest based on the quantity of beans that they harvest, and they can possibly make up to $100 a day depending on the season. So that's a pretty good deal, I suppose, if you're making $700 a week and are only paying out $10 to $15 of that money to be fed and to be housed, even though the conditions aren't necessarily comfortable conditions as I would judge it, then that's a pretty good deal. So now we're going to continue up the mountain and check out more of the land. What you will see on this coffee tree is different color beans, coffee beans. And so you have the red, you have yellow, you have green. But when you are harvesting the coffee, then you're going to be looking for the red beans. And obviously, it's not just any red beans. You have to make sure that the beans are harvestable, because some of the beans that you can capture have black in them. And if they have black in it, that means like there's a bug living in it. At least that's my understanding of it. But let's check out the beans.
Actually, he has an idea of how to do it.
Yeah,
He knows
I
what
see.
he's doing. I mean,
You kind of say, Romeo, you kind of say here if you want to, no?
No, I don't want to. I like internet. Video
no,
games.
man.
After picking our coffee beans, we continued on the tour by learning the rest of the steps involved in the coffee making process. We learned about the manual process that ensures that only the red beans and not green beans make it to the next step. Then we saw the machine that splits the skin from each of the coffee beans before the beans are washed by another machine. After being washed, the beans soak for a few days with fresh water being replenished daily to prevent the beans from fermenting.
All right, so in this region, we have bags of the skin of the coffee. And actually, what you have here is a coffee bean that got away. But here's the coffee bean, but you remove the skin. And once you remove the skin, you get the bean. So here's the bean after the skin is removed. And there's still, I probably didn't do a good job, but even after the skin is removed, a layer of natural sugar can remain. So you still have to clean even this bean, because if you don't clean the natural sugar off the bean, then bacteria can live and destroy your entire batch.
After that, the beans are extracted and dried by yet another machine. Traditionally, the beans are dried in the sun, but if one has enough money, a modern dryer machine could be purchased that speeds up the drying process. The most interesting thing I learned during the tour is that after the drying process, there is yet another selection process. Bad coffee beans are the beans that do not meet certain quality standards, and they are set aside. The good coffee beans are sent to an intermediary who purchases beans from local farmers. And then it's the intermediary who exports and sells the good coffee beans to a willing buyer. Meanwhile, the bad coffee beans are usually kept in the country, packaged, and then sold as instant coffee. So even though Colombia sells coffee beans to places all over the world and is one of the largest exporters of coffee, if you go to Colombia to purchase coffee on the street, you are very likely going to receive lower quality coffee. And for the purpose of this discussion, bad coffee beans are the coffee beans with defects, and it is called pasilla. In fact, Colombia exports 93% of the coffee it produces, and it imports lower quality pasilla coffee from other countries And this is the coffee that most Colombians drink, because lower quality pasilla coffee from other countries is less expensive. Oh, and the coffee beans are not usually roasted before leaving Colombia. These white beans are what the coffee looks like before being added to additives and coated with sugar and other roasting ingredients, which makes sense now that I think about it. It's the roasting process that gives coffee its unnatural flavor, meaning the flavor when you purchase one of the many different flavors at the grocery store. Anyway, after we learned all about the quality control process, which determines which beans are quality enough to sell abroad versus those that are sold as pasilla, we had a coffee tasting session. During the coffee tasting, the most interesting thing I learned is how brewing coffee at different temperatures considerably affects the flavor of coffee, regardless of how the beans were roasted. Depending on the brewing temperature, coffee's flavor can range from sweet to bitter down to straight up acidic. Shortly after our coffee tour, we all met up for a tasty lunch and great conversation. Later in the evening, before sunset and dinner, Danny and I walked up the hillside to get amazing footage of the sunset.
Okay, so it's 6 o'clock in the evening, and we're going to catch the sunset from not the peak of the valley, and the peak of the valley is behind me. Maybe I'll go higher, maybe I won't. But at this point, we walked a path to come midway up the peak, and it provides a beautiful view of the sunset, which you'll see in the distance. All right, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get a good view of the sun, of the sunset, and then after this, we're gonna go back down, and we have dinner scheduled for 7:30. So we're gonna have a dinner, and then we are going to go to sleep. And hopefully we sleep really well, but overall it was a pretty good day. We learned a lot about coffee. We had time to relax. The other ladies that came on the tour with us, they're currently relaxing, reading books on the balcony of the guest house, and then we have one in the pool, and then we have one gentleman who is taking advantage of just reading in his room. So overall, this is a great experience. If you ever wanted to just come and get away and be with nature, this is the place to do it. Even up this path that we used to come here, we saw different birds, different species of plants, and now, like I said, we just have this wonderful view of the skyline. And so I'm going to allow you to share that with me and this shot right here.
That was it for our 2 nights at the coffee ranch. The next morning, we would get up early and head out to our next adventure, our approximately 6-hour drive on a charter bus to the city of Eternal Spring, Medellin, Colombia. So be sure to subscribe so you can watch that adventure. And be sure to hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed it. Until next time, always remember, be safe and go travel. You have everywhere to go see.